Hello, Assalamu alaikum, good evening and welcome to another episode of Health is Wealth. I am your host, Shabnam Riaz. Hope you've had a splendid week. Today we're going to bring you a topic that is about to affect many people. If you have access to a smartphone, to the internet, then of course you'd be using social media. Now, for many people, social media takes up quite a sizable percentage of their lives. What is it doing for you? Is there any chance it could be harming you? Well, we're going to talk about that today and the impacts of social media on your health, not just your physical health, but your mental well-being as well. With us today, we have in the studios Mahrukh Mustansar, who's a clinical and a media psychologist for the Pakistan Psychological Association, and she's a certified clinical psychologist as well. Thank you very much, Mahrukh, for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me in your show.
Okay, so we're looking forward to discussing quite a few things today. How many people do you think actually realize themselves that social media is impacting their health?
Well, in Pakistan, this mental health has been neglected many times. When we talk about mental health and its effect on, and especially the effect of social media on mental health, we negate it. Because mostly people think that there is not any kind of mental health that exists in their lives.
Right.
They feel like that social media is the only platform for them, for the catharsis, for their self-identity, for the self-recognition. But unfortunately, when we go into the deeper study to that, we get to know that social media is having the devastating psychological problems. On daily basis, I am getting a lot of patients and clients being affected by the social media. They are the factors of depressive illness, but they do not know what's the cause to that. And when we go into the detailed analysis, we get to know the unconfronted use of social media is leading towards the unattended consequences for them. We are creating an internal monologue in us.
Okay.
And that is really problematic.
So what is that monologue? What are we doing?
Many disorders, like eating disorders for the females, psychological problem. There have been many researchers by the Psychological Association that on the impact of social media on mental health. And they say that depressive illness, anxiety, and stress are the most rated psychological problems. And that's how the social media is affecting our individuals and our generation these days.
Right, okay. As you know, the reason that we're doing today's program is because we recognize that these things, they're tools. They have to be used wisely, just as television or any other, any other thing, any other facility, gadget, whatever, what have you. Everything needs to have a balance.
Absolutely.
It seems that when we cross over that line of balance, that we maybe lose touch with reality.
Absolutely.
Now, how often is that happening?
Well, I would like to mention over here one thing. When we talk about the philosophy of psychology, there's a central point of the soul, and that central point is basically what keeps you balanced. And if that central point has been snatched, the soul goes at its extremes. And extreme has no ends. This is exactly what social media is doing on today's generation. And what do they actually do? They are born in the instant gratification.
Oh, yes.
They want everything in an instant. If they want to watch a movie, they go on the Netflix, log on to their account and watch a movie. If they want to read a book, they go on the Amazon and read a book. If they want to watch anything, we have so many forums, social media forums available that they watch it over there. Unfortunately, what is missing in their lives are patience. They are just in the habit of getting everything so instantly that they do not have patience. The society has become intolerant.
Absolutely.
They don't have impatience. And social media didn't tell us three things. Satisfaction, patience, and satisfaction to your job and your academia. Whenever I am getting, patients, especially from the age group of 18 to 21 years, they usually are the patients of the chronic insomnia and the depressive illness, and they do not know the cause. And when I ask them, they say, we are perhaps dissatisfied from our jobs. And when I ask them how long you have been working, they just say, it's just been 2 weeks. And then I realize that this is not their fault. Actually, they are born in the society of instant gratification. They are getting everything in an instant. They are, they do not learn patience. And what do the society, what do this generation needs to know is the significance of few emotions that are attached with our lives. That's why these days the relationships are also shaky. Yes. Because people do not have endurance, people do not have patience. It's not their fault. Children these days, youngsters these days are having intelligent mind. Yeah. They are bright people. They have beautiful minds, but it's been fragmented by the use of social media, which has taught them nothing but impatience.
Okay, very, very, interesting points that you are talking about, and of course, the things that people have to understand and have to recognize as well. Now, when, we're talking about the instant gratification, and you're talking about patience as well, very, very important words here. The joy that you feel for achieving something after a wait, that joy is, you can't compare anything to that. Even if I would talk about, when letter writing was when we used to write letters, the joy and the anticipation you used to have when you received a letter that you were waiting for. If it's an overseas letter, then easily, it was about 15 days or 10, 12 days, depending on where the letter was coming from. And you would wait that amount of time for what the person, who was going to reply to your letter was going to write. And then you take out, exactly as you are saying, you would take out a piece of paper and concentrate on each word that was written. And it had a whole different meaning to it. Absolutely. So, okay, so this is the world that we're living in. It's something you can't separate yourself from. What should a person be doing to have some sort of balance in life then?
Well, this is a very nice question. They need to first audit their social diet.
Very, very interesting.
By saying this, that they need to audit their social diet, I mean to say that they need to question themselves. That either this medium is having the positive effects on them or a negative effects. Okay. We need to realize that there is a problem. In order to solve that, we need to recognize the problem. But unfortunately, many of us do not do that. Many of us think that social media is not a problem, it's just a platform for the learning. But unfortunately, we are not aware of the devastating effect that it's causing. It's just like similar to the substance abuse.
Substance abuse.
There had been many researchers in the Psychological Association. The conclusion that they made was basically when few of the university students were asked to stop social media, they experienced the symptoms of insomnia, they experienced the symptom of withdrawal, they experienced the symptoms of anxiety. And this is exactly what social media is doing with us. We need to recognize a problem first in order to make it balance.
Of course.
And then audit your social diet. That is very important.
Okay, very, very interesting. As we said, the central point of a person's soul. Okay, so when we are, sort of sharing things about ourselves on social media, well, of course, then that puts us in a powerful position because we are giving people a version of our life that we want them to see. It may be true, it may be altered, it may be exaggerated. So having that power at your command, how devastating can that be? How can that make you suffer an alter ego?
Actually, you know what, when we are sharing about ourselves on social media, there had been many researchers in Canadian Psychological Association that there is a compound present in our brain that's released that is called dopamine. That's usually released when we achieve something, especially in terms of food, money and sex. Exactly this is happening when we are using the social media for our own gratification. We are quantifying ourselves. We are more getting into the social approval. I am not saying that not to use social media, but I'm just saying that we need to have a balance.
A balance, and do it mindfully.
Exactly. We need to have that moderate approach. That is very, very, very much necessary for our own mental health. But we do not give importance to that part. We just say that we are just doing catharsis. It's good for our self-identity. Yeah, it is good. But excessive use to the social media is actually devastating. And how to keep the balance is basically you need to recognize the problem that you are suffering with.
Absolutely, absolutely. And another thing, you know, as you just said, the thing to not let it interfere with real life, because you're speaking basically, you know, you're not having a conversation. They're just words that are being typed in between people. So establishing a relationship just on social media or on other media platforms would be something that, you know, you're not really getting the full picture of the other person.
Absolutely.
You really don't know a lot of things about them. And then many people, because as we're speaking about emotions, can get upset from, you know, something somebody may have said to them, or an inappropriate relationship. Tell us about the hazards of that.
Well, mostly people are having interpersonal problems because of the social media, as you mentioned, because they do not know the deeper meaning of joy. They do not know the deeper meaning of happiness. They do not know the deeper meaning of any relationship. They are so much into the virtual world that they have forgotten the real life, that they have forgotten the real relationship. And the unconfronted use of social media is leading towards an anti-social behavior in many of the individuals.
Yes, very true.
And this anti-social behavior keeps them isolated with the reality. And that's one of the reasons their personal relationships are becoming shaky these days. They have become so much impatient. For, you know, for maintaining a good relation, for having a good emotional health, you need to have a balance. You need to know the deeper meaning to that. Everything comes with a time, but this generation born in the instant gratification have forgotten the meaning of consistency, have forgotten the meaning of patience, have forgotten the meaning of time, because they just want everything instantly, even love, even joy, even happiness, even relationship.
Fame.
Even fame.
Yeah.
And this takes consistency, but they are not able to be consistent. What we need to learn in our lives are that we have to be consistent. We have to have a moderate approach.
To sort of think as well as to what you're doing.
Exactly.
And what you're going through, what feelings you're going through.
Exactly.
And what exactly toll it's taking, because many a time you look at, you know, social media, Facebook or whatever, and when you're going through a news feed, you know, sometimes it often strikes me that you'll be able to see a post shared that is something about somebody getting married, or is something very joyous, or something very happy. And so all of a sudden you are involved in that emotion. And then you just scroll down a bit and you'll see something that's really tragic, or something that is, you know, really heart-wrenching. So then your emotions all of a sudden change there. Then you may come across something that may offend you. And so this is actually an emotional roller coaster as well.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons that these days youngsters are having a lot of tantrums. They're throwing the tantrums on every second and every single thing. And that's really problematic for them. Plus, as talking about the news feed and the social media, I must mention one of the research that had been done by the Psychological Association. When the social media forums were being researched by them, YouTube was rated #1 as the most productive social medium, followed by Twitter, Facebook, and the worst social medium that was being considered by the Psychological Association was Instagram. Why? Because that medium is all for your pictures, quantifying yourself. And what happens when you are looking at the picture of someone? Usually what happens, there's a phenomenon of FOMO, fear of missing out.
Oh, I really want us to discuss that one. Yes, because, a very important one.
Exactly,
okay.
Because people think that they are not taken in the loop. They have been missed out. If they see someone enjoying their vacations, their relationship, they just compare themselves with, you know, those people. And then they feel devastated. Oh my God, this person is enjoying their lives. What are we doing over here?
So
You know,
true.
that is the comparison. And when comparison happen, there is an emotion that is called jealousy.
Oh.
That happens in an individual. And if it takes control over you, then you are psychologically devastated. Then you are depressed because you are constantly
Comparing yourself.
and you are dissatisfied from your own self.
Okay, tell us some of the symptoms of jealousy. If somebody's, you know, really, really indulging in jealousy from someone, a particular person or a situation or whatever, how does that manifest in a person?
Well, they would never appreciate you. They would never appreciate your success. They would never appreciate your achievement. They would more, they were more be critical towards your each and everything. They would more be critique. They will throw their tantrums on you. So these are the basic symptoms of jealousy. Plus, they would not like to sit with you.
But then that's the jealousy that you can see.
Yeah.
What about the jealousy that's masked? Because that's very dangerous.
Yeah, that's very dangerous. You know, there is a theory of Carl Jung. He talked about persona. Persona is basically a phenomena in which a person masks himself. One is the person, you know, there is two sides of an individual. One is what he is trying to show, and one, what he's actually having.
Right.
And this is really hard to understand, that what this person is having in his mind for you, what sort of intentions he's having for you. That is the phenomena of persona, and it is followed by shadow. Shadow is the phenomena that is the extreme side of an individual, the constructive energies or the destructive energies.
Okay.
People who have been jealous will, you know, that will be shown in their behavior somehow. They would be more into the destructive energies. They would more into, you know, destroying you in some manipulative ways. So jealousy is an emotion that has been shown in
and
the
it's
behavior.
timeless. It's been throughout the ages. Many a novel and many a sort of history has been written, rewritten with these emotions in play.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So this is something that a human being is born with. You have all these emotions, you have all these feelings. So many things are going on. What you have to really be careful of, what you're saying, is to be mindful of the assault that social media is taking on us, what feelings it is generating, and what we're going to do about it. Okay, now, the fear of missing out. It seems to be something that is a sort of an epidemic at the moment. You will see people, you know, especially the younger generation, always in comparison. And then, as you said, the thankfulness element is, you know, you look at somebody and you'll think they have so much, they have been blessed with so much, but they can't see it. So then what do you do? What's your advice?
Well, there are a few strategies, psychological strategies that we need to follow. There are preventive strategies, coping strategies, and as I said, that audit your social diet, creating more good online experiences, rather than focusing on someone else's life. Because once we are focusing on other people's life, we are actually making ourselves more dissatisfied.
Dissatisfied, yes.
Sometimes we need to focus on ourselves too. We need our time too. We need our lives too. You know, there were times, decades ago, when people used to go out. They used to have a coffee time with their friends. They used to have an outdoor activities like sports and all that. But unfortunately, this era has been trapped by the social media, by the electronic gadgets. And we have become so much socially isolated. We have 200, 300,000 friends on Facebook and Instagram.
And many of them we don't know personally.
Exactly. But in actual, we don't have even a single friend in our life with whom we can share our worries. The time has changed, so much. It has taken a transitional phase. Just because we are not keeping an eye on ourselves.
Yeah, true.
We are going towards extremes. We are not making it a moderate approach. If something is given to us, we are just using it 24/7. We don't have that patience.
Right. So do you suggest to your patients, you know, for some time, put away your phones,
Yeah.
put away your internet, put away your gadgets, and focus on something else.
Yeah.
What is that you
Meditation. Usually I suggest meditation to the patients because, you know, when someone is coming to the psychologist, you know, I would like to mention one thing over here because people usually get confused when they are being trapped by the social media and they are having, you know, the mental health problems because of the social media. They're confused either to go for a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So here I would like to mention that psychologist, it's a person who will, you know, apply therapies on you.
Okay.
It's like cognitive behavioral therapy, PMRT. Usually people who are affected of social media are having the social anxieties. 7 out of 10 persons, they're having social anxiety.
Okay.
They are having depressive illness, and depressive illness has, you know, a lot of types. It goes on and on and on. And what we usually do for such people are the progressive muscle relaxation techniques and to treat the generalized anxiety disorder or the panic disorder or the social anxiety. Or we go for the deep breathing exercise for our patients, for our clients, because it keeps you relaxed.
Is this something that they can find online as well, or do they have to go and see a psychologist for this?
Well, when they have to go, you know, when they're planning to go to a psychologist, there is a supervised treatment. So if you are doing it at home, this is not a supervised treatment.
Okay. Right.
So if you know 2 to 3 sessions happen, because psychotherapy is basically the professional way of counseling. It's a professional, because such patients first needs to be counseled, and then they have to go into the second step, that is the therapeutic techniques. If they're not been counseled, because they are not in a view of you know, stopping the use of social media.
Many people, as you said, do not know what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
They're just confused. They're confused to the amount of emotions that they're feeling.
Exactly.
May be alien to them.
Exactly.
And, you know, for some of them, they may not have even the slightest idea that social media is behind this.
Absolutely.
How many wake-up calls have you given your patients who have come in who have been completely clueless?
Well, almost 80%. I must say.
That's a huge number.
And you know, most of the patients who are coming to me are youngsters, are children.
Children.
And
as young as how?
Exactly. It's like 8 years old, 12 years old.
8 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah. And I was also reading a few of the researchers of Canadian Psychological Association. They have recently done a contemporary research on children, that the 7 to 12 grade children who were using Facebook and Instagram excessively, especially 2 hours per day, they were the sufferers of anxiety, depression, and stress. These are the most rated psychological problems that even 7th graders children are having. And you know, I see these patients on daily basis. They're having the delusional thoughts of dying too. You know, they feel like they're gonna die. And I ask them, why are you having these thoughts? Because they keep on reading on social media how death happens. Such kind of things. They are having the delusional thoughts that how death happens, and then those symptoms, they just apply those symptoms on themselves and say, we are having these symptoms, we're going to die.
Sort of like the Googling syndrome, where you're Googling.
Exactly.
Okay, okay.
And reading few articles on Facebook, that is not actually a research article, they're just the posts and all that. And they believe in that without going into the deeper interpretation to it.
Okay. So when you have a child who's as young as you said, 8 or 9 years old, what do you tell their parents?
Well, we actually go for the professional counseling of the parents as well, and we ask them not to give them, you know, not to provide them with the excessive use of the social media, excessive use of the electronic gadgets, because there is a research into cognitive neuroscience. When you are exposed to the electronic gadgets, you are more prone to have the neurological problems, to have the psychological problems. And these days, parents are providing the electronic gadgets to their children even at the age of 2 years.
Even younger?
Yeah, even 2 years. You know, if a child is, you know, just of 2 years or 3 years, they are playing games on the palm top, on the laptop, on the tablet. And, you know, you are actually teaching them how not to enjoy the real life, how to be separated with the reality. And such children, when grow up, they are so impatient and they're so aggressive. Even you can see children these days, even 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, they have, you know, they are having a chronic disobedience to their parents. because parents are not spending time with them.
Very,
That
very
quality
important
time
point.
is now missing out.
Because the parents are probably also being involved in social media as well.
Exactly.
The addiction just, it has a domino effect. It starts at
Exactly.
one place and just goes on and on.
Exactly.
So, you know, okay, what is it that we should be doing? How often should we be putting our phones down? You know, of course, you can't have a general rule for everybody.
Yeah.
But what is a healthy amount of time that you can give to social media?
1 hour.
1 hour a day, is
Yeah.
this? Okay, for many people, this will be a shock.
Yeah.
Me included, I have to admit to this. I thought you were going to say something like 5 hours, 6 hours. Just 1 hour,
1
really?
hour. You know what? There had been, as I told before, and as I mentioned before, that there had been many psychological researches based on the social media that even people who are using social media 2 hours per day suffers from chronic insomnia, depressive illness, anxiety, and stress.
Why is that? If just 2 hours a day of that,
And 2
why
hours
does it
in
give you insomnia? Why is
Because
the
they're
reason?
constantly thinking about how many likes do they get, how many comments did they get,
Okay.
and they're constantly thinking about other people's life. This is a natural human brain process that happens. This is a natural cognitive process that happens. When you are, comparing yourself with someone, mostly youngsters are comparing themselves with others most of the time, especially when it comes to females. They have inculcated that internal monologue of eating disorders so
That's
much.
very true. That's very true.
Anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa. They are just so much obsessed with their thin figure that they restrict their diet just because their friend is slimmer than them. And
or looks slimmer.
Exactly.
Or looks more sculpted or contoured or whatever it is.
Because they are seeing their pictures on the Instagram.
Yeah.
And their life is also now filtered.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
that's how it's, leading our generation to the devastating
point. What are you
point.
telling girls who come to you with this problem?
I've been counseling them a lot because we need to counsel them first, and then we need to counsel their environment, especially parents, their primary support group. We need to counsel them as well. It's a long process. It takes 3 to 4 sessions minimum with such girls, because many of the girls they just if they want to eat something that they really like to eat, they will eat it in a second, in one go, and then they will induce a vomit. That is bulimia nervosa.
That's universal. Okay, for mothers and fathers who are watching this program, who may not know that their daughter is suffering from this eating disorder, what are the signs?
Actually, she will not eat anything.
Right, okay, so the dinner table, everybody's sitting down and she's not eating.
She won't even
Is this just confined, is this a majority for females, or can boys get this too?
No, boys usually do not get it. Because innately females are more conscious about
their weight and their figure and everything.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are the symptoms?
They won't eat anything. And, if you will cook something for your daughter, she will not eat anything. She will just say, I'm just worried about my weight. I've been having a lot of patients of this nervosa and who are the victim of nervosa. Their mothers were saying to me, why my daughter doesn't eat anything? Why is she so much obsessed with her figure? Why is she saying that she should look thin? And when I asked her, there's a cyberbullying going on in the social media.
Cyberbullying.
Because people are commenting and critically, commenting on their pictures and passing some kind of comments that they do not want to listen. And, that is creating that cognitive process in their minds, that they shouldn't eat anything because people are not going to accept them. So this is how we are quantifying ourselves. This is how we are making ourselves being victim to the quantification, being victim to the social approval. And that is devastating. That is devastating. It is not only nervosa. There are many other disorders that females are going through, and they're more prone to the psychological problems than males.
Okay.
The reason is this, that innately females are more sensitive than males. Innately. They overthink.
Okay. This is because why?
This is a natural cognitive makeup of a female.
Okay.
This is a natural cognitive makeup.
Okay.
They think a lot.
That's true.
You know,
Agree.
males are more like their mind is more calculated.
Practical.
More factual, more practical.
More logical,
Exactly.
maybe. You know, this is a problem, I have to deal with this hands-on.
Exactly.
For us, it's usually more, okay, this can be a problem. Let me think about this and worry myself to death. You know, yeah, I agree.
Exactly. They're more into the, you know, their minds are more factual. Their minds are more rational, males. But females are more emotional.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
if the same problem is given, you know, if we can have a controlled experiment, the psychological experiment, we can have one male sitting and one female sitting, and we just give a simple problem statement to them. You will see that males would be having more factual grounds and females would be having more emotional grounds. They constantly want reassurance. They constantly want reassurance. So this is a natural cognitive makeup.
So that speaks of a lot of insecurities as well, doesn't it? So how can you make yourself more secure, especially, you know, the youngsters, the young girls who are out there using Instagram, as you said, and they're watching other girls, you know, with or whatever, and the comparison, because everybody is beautiful in their own right.
Absolutely.
This is something that you have to tell them. You have to get this message across. That, you know, whoever you are, whatever you are, you have been made beautiful, and you are beautiful because you are the original you. And there is no bigger beauty than being original.
Because God has created a human being as an imperfect human being. We are not perfect. Every one of us are having imperfections. But that doesn't mean that we are full of imperfections. We have some qualities too. If someone is blessed with good looks, the other must be having good talent. Good, you know, academics. They might be having good communication skills. You know, every second individual has been blessed with something better than the other.
Absolutely true.
You need to understand that. You need to think that, you know, we are not perfect. We are teaching our daughters to be perfect. We need to teach our daughters to be brave. That's
okay,
important.
the role of the family here then. The mother especially.
Absolutely.
We see a lot of things, what I'm going to talk about with you as well right now, is we see a lot of things that are stereotypical in our society. A lot of things go on about dark skins. This is something I feel very, very strongly about. We have, you know, whole companies out there who are exploiting people because they're promising them that, you know, you're going to get a white skin and suggestive things that are saying that you're only going to look good if you are fair-skinned. So what sort of a devastating psychological impact does that have on female members of our society who are dark-skinned, and how can we get this message across that this is something that is completely unacceptable?
You know, the thing that you have mentioned over here about the companies, about the corporate organization that are actually creating this kind of dilemma in females' mind, that is basically the phenomenon of the psychology that we call modeling. And also the social learning theory that has been given by Albert Bandura, that we're learning from our society and the media, social media specifically, and electronic media too. That is a prime platform for the projection of our societal views, the fabricated societal views, that we are shaping minds of people. And mostly females, they just feel like they're just, you know, watching a commercial and they just say, oh, I'm gonna use this cream and I'll look better by using this cream. They're using, you know, those creams, but no effects, honestly. But they need to be satisfied with their own skin because everyone is beautiful. It's just because the modeling phenomena is happening, the psychological modeling is happening in our society these days because of the media.
And not only that, Mahrukh, you know, it really makes me it's so, you know, you think to yourself that this is just so ironic that if you move towards the West, they're using so much money on tanning lotions and sitting in the sun and so many things. And they're spending all their money there, and they want to look tan, and here it's the other way around. So we'll get back to this point right now. We're going for a break. Do not change the channel. Okay, welcome back to the programme. Now, you know, we're having a fantastic time today talking about the impact of social media on our mental health and, you know, what that it's really doing in shaping a person's mind. And then while we were talking about that, we were talking about society and society's, you know, the ideas, the conceived notions that we have for what beauty is and how that is harming people in our country, especially girls who are very vulnerable. We spoke about, you know, as we were talking about, you know, Mahrukh, I had a whole list of questions here, but it seems that, you know, we weren't able to get onto any of these because other things were so interesting that we're talking about. We spoke about complexions. We spoke about, you know, how this is being misinterpreted in society, how it's being enforced, then reinforced, and then the impact that this has. A very real dilemma that we are suffering from is marriage proposals, girls getting married. You will see that the awful way that they are asked to sit down or bring in a tray and sit in front of people who will inspect her like an object or a piece of furniture and then pass very unkind remarks. How do we do away with all this?
Well, unfortunately, you know, that has become the part of our society. And even people coming to me with, you know, having these marriage problems, that they're unable to get married because just because of their complexion, just because of their looks, that people do not find them attractive. So we can treat those clients, but how can we treat the society? You know, that's been modeling this behavior, that's been shaping the behavior, that's been shaping the minds. The only thing to treat the society is to treat through the social media, through electronic media, by having such programs regarding the mental health and how you have to be satisfied with yourself.
And also, you know, when we talk about female and women empowerment, this is the very crux of the situation. To be able to give your daughter, you know, the important platform that she needs in life, you have to give her self-confidence, you have to give her love, you have to give her unconditional support. Make her into a person who has a good education and is able to be a fully functional, independent person who can financially sustain themselves. That will make them feel beautiful, because beauty is all about a feeling, I would think, rather than anything else.
Girls who are more independent and educated, they have a different kind of mindset. You will see that when, you know, females who attain certain position, certain achievement, and a certain qualification, they actually go to the point of self-analysis and self-acceptance. That is what we need. That is what we want in our society, because society is not going to change. You need to change yourself.
You need to change it. I love that point. Absolutely. Okay, another thing, let's get to some of the questions that I had written down. Okay, let's talk about fundamentalism and social media, and what exactly is all this?
Well, when we talk about fundamentalism, it's basically the strict adherence to the basic principle of any subject and discipline, usually religion. People posting statuses on social media regarding religion, regarding political interest. If someone is having, you know, counter argument, they will start having a fight on the social media. So that is basically creating more like an aggressive pattern in them. Plus, it's so deeply grounded by few of the religious scholars, that social media religious scholars, I must say over here, that they basically interpret the inclusivism under the exclusivist paradigm. And hence alienating a mind and sabotaging its emotional and psychological growth. And mind becomes so impervious to the certain sane arguments. And you actually are shaping a mind that is becoming so incapacitated to the counter argument that you start having a fight with your mates, with your friends, even on the media forums. So this is, you know, what social media is doing these days on Facebook, on Instagram.
And you see it everywhere. And you see it not just only on social media. You'll see it you'll see it in the offices. You'll see it on transport. You'll see it outside, even maybe in a market, in a bazaar. You'll just see somebody says something to somebody, and, you know, they'll say, no, the actual belief that I am right, you are wrong.
Exactly.
That is just something that you just can't carry on with that in the practical world.
Exactly.
And then, of course, you know, it's so much to do with tolerance, because then you are becoming an intolerant person. And once you are intolerant, then nothing is going to be okay to you.
Absolutely.
No one is going to be okay to you.
Absolutely.
So how do you get people to, you know, to understand that they are...
techniques. There are anger management techniques that we asked client to have, but if these techniques are, you know, not having a good effect on a patient is not getting recovered by that, then there is a role of a psychiatrist, because then we asked him to go for the medications, because usually people who are intolerant are having aggressive pattern. People who are intolerant, impatient, they are more into the aggressive pattern. They are more aggressive people.
Right.
They are not going to accommodate any counter argument. They won't sit in the different people. They won't sit in the different minds.
They're not ready to entertain that anybody has a different approach to
Absolutely.
life.
They just say that. Even Dr. Mumtaz said in one of his lecture that fundus never want anyone to have fun. So this is something like very important we need to understand.
Unless it's their version of fun.
Exactly. Absolutely. Very right. That.
Okay. So, you know, it's been wonderful talking about today's topic. Mahrukh, it's been wonderful speaking to you.
Thank you so
and
much.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Otherwise, there was so much more we could be, you know, talking about. But I'm sure we'll be able to do that in a further program.
It was a lovely experience.
Thank you so much, Mahrukh. Thank you. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of today's program. You know, all these things are quite a bit of a wake-up call for many people, and I certainly got a jolt when, you know, Mahrukh said that 1 hour a day of social media. Okay, you know, to make it real, maybe a bit more than that. So, but be mindful of what you do, where you're placing your energies, and what actually you're responding to, and what are you receiving. How is your behavior being affected by social media? Be happy, be healthy, and keep yourself mentally strong as well. Until next week, bye-bye.